Good morning, Virgo. This week, life begins to reposition you, and the change might feel subtle at first, but it's definitely undeniable. You might notice it in small ways. First, a conversation that lands differently, a situation that used to tolerate sudden feeling heavier than it should, a quiet thought that keeps returning is maybe this isn't the path I meant to stay on. And something about this energy feels like you're stepping back and looking at your life from a slightly higher place. It's almost like you're seeing patterns that were always there, but now they finally make sense. For some of you, rising costs or possibly financial pressures might be pushing you to rethink how you share resources with others. For others, the shift may show up in relationships, realizing you need more independence or emotional space than you once did. But the interesting thing is this, that the changes happening around you aren't loud or chaotic. They're quiet, and in a strange way, they're steady. Opportunities may start appearing when you least expect them, and a door is going to open. And it could be a conversation, small moment of clarity that changes how you see everything else. And this week isn't about forcing change. It's about noticing where life already is trying to reposition you. And once you see it, things begin to make sense. So with that said, welcome back to Hermit in the Woods Tarot. My name is Matt, and I'm really grateful you chosen to spend time here with me today in this small cabin in the woods. Somehow this quiet little space keeps reaching people who need reflection more than noise. If you enjoy these readings, please feel free to like the video, subscribe, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, or what you're thinking, how you're feeling. I always enjoy seeing how far this little forest circle reaches. And if you have questions you'd like to explore in future readings, leave those in the comments as well. Many of these readings grow out of the reflections and curiosities that you would share. As always, remember that tarot readings are general guidance. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. Your own judgment and intuition matter more than any card. Growth is rarely loud. Most of the time, transformation happens quietly beneath the surface long before anyone sees the result. And that's really what this channel is about. It's truth-seeking, reflection, personal growth, and grounded spirituality. Not escaping life, but understanding it more deeply. So for Virgo, let's sit with the cards and see what this week might be showing you. And for this reading, I'm using the House of Dragon Tarot deck. And we're working with the Iron Throne spread. This is a 5-card spread. It focuses on something deeper than just a simple prediction. The Iron Throne represents power, yes, but more importantly, it represents positioning. This is where you stand, what choices are in front of you, what path might lead you toward claiming what is truly meant for you. And so this spread explores 5 perspectives. The obstacles in front of you, your strengths, the influences that shape the situation, hidden strengths you might not be seeing yet, and the best possible outcome if you follow the clearest path forward. And then we'll pull a spiritual message and 2 clarifying cards at the end. So, the first card is the Page of Crowns, and this is reversed. And this is the Dragon's Eye, and this represents obstacles. So, let's sit with this for a moment. Page of Crowns reverse often speaks of uncertainty around growth. Sometimes it shows up when we've been trying to build something, like a career path, maybe a financial plan, or possibly even a relationship. And suddenly we're not sure that it's developing the way we expected. So for some Virgos watching this, rising costs or financial pressure might be part of this energy. You might feel like you're working hard, but the results aren't growing as quickly as you hoped. But something interesting about this card, it's not representing failure, it's a recalibration. The Page of Crowns is curious by nature, and when reversed, it can show a moment where curiosity returns because the original plan isn't quite working anymore. In other words, this obstacle might actually be the moment that pushes you towards the better path. Some of you might be asking yourselves questions like, what step can move my career forward right now? What skills do I need to develop next? And that question is very healthy, because growth sometimes begins when we admit we're ready to learn something new. So let's get into your strengths, and the Fool reversed. Now this is really interesting because normally the Fool represents stepping into something new with confidence and excitement. But reversed, it often suggests caution. And strangely, that caution might actually be your strength right now. You're not rushing into things blindly. You're thinking carefully before you leap. You're asking deeper questions about independence. Questions about your directions, about whether a path truly aligns with you. So something about this card tells me many of you are becoming more protective with your peace. You're realizing that freedom doesn't always mean doing something dramatic. Sometimes it simply means not continuing something that doesn't feel right anymore. And that realization is powerful. Next we get to the Dias, and this is who held the throne before you. And that's the Page of Blades. And this card represents curiosity, observation, learning through watching. And I feel like for some of you, there's this younger version of yourself that once approached life in this way. You were always analyzing, always trying to understand what others expected. And you might have adapted yourself to fit certain environments. And this could be family expectations, career expectations, even relationship expectations. But now you're seeing the influences more clearly. Some Virgos might even reconnect with family members or old friends during this time, and those conversations might help you reflect on how far you've come. And I get this like sense of like overwhelming pressure. It's almost like there's conversations with family or friends that didn't quite go the way you expected. Probably heated arguments. Not necessarily that they had to be that dramatic or negative, but I feel like if you think about those conversations, there's probably messages there that you might want to reflect on. And it's going to be those conversations that help you reflect on how far you've come. You might realize certain identities that once carried you no longer fit who you are today. And that's okay. The forest changes us slowly, but constantly. So let's get into the window, and this is your hidden strength. And this is the 5 of Dragons, and it is reversed. And now this card usually speaks of that conflict. And reversed, it suggests something very different though. It suggests stepping away from unnecessary battles. So it's possible that you've had heated battles with your family or friends, but you might be realizing you don't need to win every argument or prove every point. Sometimes the greatest strength is choosing peace instead of continuing a struggle. And this definitely, I feel like, is applying strongly to family dynamics. Some of you might be learning how to create healthier boundaries within your family. And it's not in a harsh way, just a clear, respectful understanding of where your responsibilities begin and where they end. Quiet moments are where understanding often appears, and stepping back from conflict can sometimes reveal the bigger picture. And next we're going to get into the seat, and this is the best possible outcome, which is the Wheel of Fortune, and this is reversed as well. So let me sit with this one for a while. At first glance, the wheel reverse can feel like delays. But in a reading like this, it often represents something deeper. You're taking control of your direction rather than leaving everything to chance. And you may begin redefining what success actually means to you. Not what others expected, and not what you were taught years ago. But what generally aligns with your life now. And sometimes that means ending a long-term relationship. It might mean changing career goals. Or maybe simply choosing a different rhythm for your life. And when that happens, life may begin to move in a direction you didn't originally plan. But strangely enough, it feels right. And something about the color energy in this reading stands out to me. There's a red, silver, orange, and lavender. And red speaks of courage. The silver speaks of reflection. Orange speaks of creative direction. And that lavender speaks of spiritual calm. And you put all these together, and it feels like transformation happening both internally and externally. So let's talk about the astrological energy expansion in the next week or two, surrounding this week coming up. Today is Sunday, and Venus meeting Saturn in Aries is activating an area of life connected with shared resources and deeper commitments. What that often feels like emotionally is a moment of clarity about what you're investing your energy into. And again, this is financially, could be emotionally, or relationally. You might begin asking yourself whether those investments feel balanced. And at the same time, the Scorpio moon harmonizing with Pisces sun brings emotional understanding. Conversations might feel more honest and revealing. And then Monday brings a softer energy. Mercury connecting with Jupiter supports collaborative conversations and friendships. For some, Virgos might find support coming from unexpected places. This could be friends, colleagues, family members who simply understand what you're trying to build. The Sagittarius moon also highlights home and family. And for some of you, this may be a week where reconnecting with family members helps restore a sense of supporting or belonging. And not every relationship from the past needs to stay in the past. Sometimes reconnection helps healing happen. So I feel like for some Virgos out there might be a past connection that you might be rethinking, and it might be a chance for you to reconnect, maybe with a lost loved one. And now that you're older or have grown a little bit, maybe your life has changed, I feel like maybe this could work out for you. So it's worth exploring. And there's a story I've been thinking about while looking at these cards. In a small lakeshore village, there was a fisherman who went out every morning before sunrise. One morning, the fog rolled in thick across the water, and as he rowed away from the dock, the shoreline disappeared behind him. Another fisherman watching from the shore saw the boat slowly vanish into the fog and thought the man must be lost. But hours later, the boat returned with a full net of fish. The man who stayed behind asked him how he navigated when he couldn't see the shore. And the fisherman simply said, "I didn't need to see the whole lake. I only needed to see the water in front of my boat." And clarity arrives slowly. And the Bible speaks about this kind of guidance too. Psalm 119, 105, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." Not a floodlight for the entire journey, just enough light for the next step. And Proverbs reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." Sometimes the path becomes clear only after we begin walking it. So let's get into that spirit message further with the Ace of Crowns. And this is really beautiful energy. It speaks of new growth, new emotional fulfillment, and opportunities that feel meaningful. For some Virgos, this could even represent reconnecting with family members or finding emotional support where you once felt alone. And that overwhelming feeling is diminishing. So let's get some clarifying cards here. The Ten of Tankards. This card speaks about emotional harmony and shared happiness. This, again, family healing, supportive relationships, a sense of belonging. It suggests that as you create healthier boundaries, you might actually strengthen certain relationships rather than weaken them. And finally, the Hierophant. And this card often represents wisdom gained through experience. It might also point toward learning new skills, possibly seeking mentorship, definitely developing a deeper understanding of your purpose. Some of you might feel drawn towards education, training, or spiritual study that helps you move forward in your career. Sometimes stepping away and reflecting allows us to see a bigger picture of our life. And once we see it, the next step becomes clearer. And I think with the spring approaching, I think a lot of us, it's time to step out of the house and get outside. And for Virgo, this reading feels like a quiet turning point. Not the kind of change that happens overnight, but the kind that begins with the realization you are becoming more protective of your peace, you're recognizing where independence is necessary, you're learning to trust instincts again, and perhaps most importantly, you're redefining what success truly means for you. That's not always easy, but it's definitely very powerful. Well, with that, thank you for spending this time with me at Hermit in the Woods Tarot. If you enjoyed this reading, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's always free, and it always helps me grow as a channel. And let me know in the comments what part of the reading resonated with most of you and where you're watching from. Again, your support helps this small cabin in the woods continue to reach people who need a quiet moment of reflection. And remember, sometimes the answers we're searching for were already waiting in the quietness. And until next time, take care of yourselves and keep walking your path with patience and awareness. Thank you for watching.